The R6 Mark II is without doubt one of the best, if not the best, hybrid cameras currently available. And even though it may be the closest camera to being that perfect camera that we're all looking for, but it does have 5 major weaknesses that I think you should know about. But the good thing is, I found fixes to each of its shortcomings, and I'll be sharing those with you in this video. The first flaw may surprise you, as it's one of the main selling points of this camera, and that's the fact that the image you're going to get from this sensor is downsampled from 6K. Now don't get me wrong, having an image that's this sharp is perfect for certain applications like sports videography, but for general purpose filmmaking, oftentimes it's too sharp, and it lends itself towards that digital look that Sony cameras have been known for. So if you're like me, and you prefer a more organic and filmic look, there's a few things you can do. The simplest thing would be to add a black mist filter to help knock down that digital sharpness. But a better option would be to grab a few vintage lenses, like the Helios 44M, or one of the many older Canon FD mount lenses, as they have certain optical imperfections that give the footage character, which is hard to get with modern day lenses. If not having autofocus is an issue for you, you can also try some of the older EF lenses, like the Nifty 50 f1.8. The next problem with the Canon R6 Mark II and every other RF mount camera for that matter is a lack of affordable, high quality lenses. With Canon closing off the mount to third-party manufacturers, this problem will only intensify, which is why I recommend using adapted EF lenses instead of RF lenses. And my favorite adapter for RF mount cameras is this drop-in filter system from Mica, and in my opinion, this is the most useful accessory currently available for the RF mount. Let me explain. It allows you to use EF and EFS lenses while providing you with a drop-in ND filter as well as an optional black mist and CPL filter. This gives you so many choices in quality lenses, as the EF lineup has more lenses than any other mount. In particular, there's 2 lenses by Tamron which offer exceptionally high quality at an affordable price. The first one is the image stabilized Tamron 15-30 f2.8, and if you prefer a lens that's not quite as wide as the 15-30, then the Tamron 24-70 f2.8 is also an amazing lens. But having both of them would pretty much cover every focal length that you would need other than the extreme telephoto end. And the fact that you're getting a constant f2.8 aperture throughout the whole focal length on both of those lenses would put most people in a situation where those would be the only 2 lenses you would ever need. And I'll leave a link below to the Mica drop-in ND filter as well as both of these amazing lenses from Tamron. The third issue we need to overcome is the problem of corner wobbles when shooting with wide lenses. The problem only arises when you're shooting handheld in situations like vlogging, and it disappears for the most part when using lenses that are 35mm and up. So if you're using a lens that's very wide, like the Tamron 15-30, then I suggest you lock the camera off on a tripod and avoid filming handheld as much as possible. And if you look at most famous vloggers, they don't really just walk and talk with the camera the whole time. Mostly they set the camera down and talk to the camera, and occasionally when they want to advance the story into the next scene, then they'll briefly walk around with the camera, and most of the time it's just for a few seconds. Now, if you really tend to walk and talk with the camera a lot, then one thing that you can try is switching the camera to APS-C crop mode and using a lens like the Canon 10-18 EFS APS-C lens. This should give you much better footage and help with the corner wobbles, as the corners of the sensor are being cropped out while still giving you an extremely wide field of view. And it's a pretty inexpensive lens, coming in only at $300. The next problem that we have is that the R6 Mark II doesn't give you C-Log 2, but only C-Log 3. And it also doesn't have an option to shoot in all-eye, and it only gives you IPB and IPB light compression. Now, if the R6 Mark II is your only camera, or it's going to be used as your A-cam, and all you really do is YouTube videos and other social media like that, then there's really no issue. The problem only arises if you ever want to use the R6 Mark II as a B-cam to a camera like the C70, or if you want to shoot something more professional that's not intended for social media, like a documentary. The solution would be to pick up an Atomos Ninja V. which I'll link to below. This way you can shoot ProRes RAW, which would be much easier to match to the C70 or other cinema cameras. It would also give your footage more dynamic range and improve the quality altogether. And this brings us to our final issue with the R6 Mark II, which is the unfortunate fact that Canon decided to put a micro HDMI port in this camera as opposed to a full-size HDMI port. This makes it much more problematic when using external recorders and monitors like the Ninja V. The issue is that micro HDMI ports are too flimsy, and if you accidentally pull on the cord, you run the risk of breaking the port. Then you're gonna have to send it in to get fixed, and that's gonna leave you without a camera for a few weeks. So for me, it's not even worth it. And honestly, I don't know why Canon insists on giving us micro and mini HDMI ports when they could just as easily give us full-size HDMI. But there is an effective solution. SmallRig makes a camera cage for the R6 Mark II that only costs about 60 bucks. Once you have that, then you can purchase the attachment which locks the HDMI cord in place, so you don't have to worry about bumping into it or tugging on it. So if you're like me, and you plan on using your R6 Mark II to start a YouTube channel, then make sure that you watch this video next, where I share 5 tips on how to get your first 10,000 subscribers fast. I left links in the description below to the Canon R6 Mark II, as well as all the other accessories and solutions that I talked about in this video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's Fulan Creative and I'm out. Peace.